We begin here at 5 with the race for the Los Angeles mayor, and that breaking news, the latest ballot drop has just dropped. NBC News now projecting that Councilwoman Nithya Raman will advance to the runoff against Mayor Karen Bass. We want to thank you for joining us. I'm Jonathan Gonzalez.
And I'm Annabelle Sedano. You see those numbers right there. This is breaking news. LA County just released its latest vote count in the race for LA mayor. All right, we have our Conan Nolan here. Conan, I mean, we're seeing those numbers right there. I mean, it's very clear. If you're Mayor Karen Bass, what are you thinking at this moment?
Well, Karen Bass probably thought this was going to happen. They're taking a look at the geometry of elections in California. Remember, when she ran against Rick Caruso, you pointed that out, Jonathan, that she had that he had a 5-6 point lead over her on election day. 2 weeks later, she easily won. She knew that there were a tremendous number of votes still out to count, and most of them were Democrats, so they anticipated this. They were hoping Spencer Pratt would hang in there. They wanted Mr. Pratt for the November election. This complicates everything. And it's emblematic of something that's very important when it comes to political science. When you have a city the size of Los Angeles that is so overwhelmingly Democrat, then that party splits. And that's what we're seeing here. You have essentially the establishment Democratic Party behind Karen Bass, the LA County Federation of Labor, Organized Labor, and others. And they're up against a progressive Democrat who will run to Karen Bass's left, who has her constituency are younger Democrats. Remember, she's 30 years younger, so there's a generational divide here. And she also represents the younger Democrats who want density development. They want walkable streets. They're interested in public transportation in a way that establishment Democrats, they don't see them as their allies. So this is setting up a very interesting race for November, and it's going to make the Karen Bass's job of getting another term much more difficult.
So we're talking about the yes in my backyard vote, so to speak, and especially when it comes to Raman. Just a quick update here. Raman, in this latest drop, gained about 33,000 votes. Mayor Bass, 25,000 to Pratt's about 14,600. This had been trending in this direction, but there will still be Pratt supporters who say, what the heck happened? He was in the lead 2 days ago. What's going on?
Well, what happened is that most people voted by mail. And the way the system runs is that those votes are counted after the day of election votes. And so most of Mr. Pratt's support, the bulk of it, took place on Election Day or well before Election Day. So those ballots were counted by Election Day, which gave him a significant lead. But there were hundreds of thousands of votes that still had to be processed. And they trended Democrat, and they always have. Democrats always vote in far greater numbers than Republicans by mail. And in this particular election, they held on to the ballots longer because of the race for governor. They wanted to be strategic in who they voted for. So they want to look at the polls at the last minute to make sure there weren't two Republicans in the top two for running off for November. So that's why the overwhelming number of votes that were counted since the election are Democrats, and they were split between Karen Bass and Nithya Raman.
I want to talk about the optics here, because we can only expect that outrage is going to continue. As we've been seeing over the weekend, we saw a lot of that, especially on social media. We've got the wealthiest man in the world, and we've got the president of the United States talking about and criticizing our vote by mail system here. What is this going to do?
Well, yeah, it's terrible optics. I think the governor knows that. The governor has weighed in and trying to increase the speed of the count. And it plays into, I think, to a little bit to the midterm elections and even to 2028, because California is a beacon of the anti-Trump establishment. So you can have Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, who didn't say there was fraud, but he did say this is terrible optics. And they want to display this as this is the party of Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, and this is what you can expect if either one of them ever get to the White House. So there's that element to this as well. But it's not a good look. 49 other states don't do it this way for the most part, and they're able to count a lot faster. And in Texas and Florida, it'll take hours because they don't have the kind of laws that we have. We prioritize participation. We make it really easy for you to vote. We send you We've been sending you a ballot ever since 2020, the COVID election. But there's a cost to it, and the cost is a lack of finality and a lack of clarity right after the election and for weeks later, and that is problematic.
Lastly, Conan, on this race, should the mayor be concerned? I think you pointed this out last week. We're talking about she's at a 34% right now. That means about 65% of voters did not vote for her. Between Pratt and Raman alone, we're talking about 53, 54% who are not voting for Mayor Bass here.
She should be very concerned for no other reason than all of a sudden Donald Trump is no longer part of this election. Donald Trump is loathed in Los Angeles. Let's just be, and in the state of California. He has lost by millions and millions of votes every time he runs. And when he cries fraud, and he one time said that 1 million undocumented immigrants voted, this is absurd. When Spencer Pratt got the endorsement of Donald Trump, game, set, over. The Bass people knew that. They were going to win by 20 points. But now he's no longer part of this. It's a Democrat on Democrat, and it may be decided by people who voted for Spencer Pratt. Do you want to keep the mayor that you have, and you really were upset with the way she's handled the office, certainly after the Palisades fire, or do you punish her and say, you know what, I don't believe a lot of what Nithya Raman says, and I'm not a socialist, but I'll vote for her instead. So that's the complication here, and it's got to be, this is going to be a rough campaign in November.
All right. Well, there you see it. NBC News is projecting Nithya Raman will advance to the November runoff. Conan Nolan, as always, thank you so much. There is still so much more to discuss, and I know we're going to see you at 5:30 maybe?
Yeah, well, so I'll be back.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. And we will continue to keep you updated on ballot counts, both live on air and online. For a complete list of results so far, go to NBCLA.com or the NBCLA app.